Oh, welcome into the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. Figure that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. And when I say you're smart, you are unfathomably smart. All right, each and every one of you. Oh, let me see. I think I have my old controls back. Can I just tell you, you are so smart. I don't care what anybody else in your life says. All right, if there are 1,000 believers in you, I'm one of them. All right, if there are 50 believers in you, I'm one of them. If there are 2 believers in you, I'm still one of them. If there's only 1 believer in you in the world, it is me. If there are 0 believers of you in this world, it means I'm dead. I believe in each and every one of you, and you're incredibly smart, and I thank you for finding the show today. Thank you. All right, now, there's a lot to get to on today's show, and it's weird because in a way, we could have a conversation about how men's hockey's starting in the Olympics, but, I'm going to go talk about hockey in less than 3 hours over on WBCB and on YouTube and Facebook and X over on the Snow the Goalie accounts with Ant and Bundy. We'll be at Chickies and Pete's in Bordentown. Come on out. It's a small, intimate setting at the Chickies in Bordentown. The one in Marlton is like the most gigantic Chickies I've ever been in. It's an incredible spot. This one in Bordentown is like, it's nice and in tight and close. It's a wonderful area, but it's a nice, close, tight setup. So come on out to Chickies and Pete's in Bordentown tonight. We'll talk some puck. We'll talk some Olympic hockey. And since I'm doing that in less than 3 hours, I'm probably not going to dive into hockey today. No offense to anybody out there, but I'm probably not going to. Basketball. Last time I talked about the Sixers, I was like, Sixers are good. Joel Embiid didn't play. They got smacked. So we're going to avoid the Sixers today. We do have an update, apparently, on Lane Johnson and whether or not he's returning to the Philadelphia Eagles. We do have some updates about, I don't know if you noticed or not, baseball is apparently coming back. So pitchers and catchers reporting. We got a couple of new sound bites. One of them made me question the sanity of some people. Also, we're going to do a shameless plug here for one of the shows on the Joy Media Network, right? Phightin Words. If you are not currently a subscriber to Phightin Words, well, now is the time. Now is about as good of a time as any to get on board. I'm also trying to figure out, we were having some tech issues, and I'm realizing now that this stream has not gone out to all of the places that it usually does, which I find deeply concerning. See, now I had gosh darn it. Just when you think things are going well. I got to double check. It looks like this isn't going out. Is it going out over on the Twitter? It's not going out on Twitter. What in the world is going on? That is so strange. All right, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out in a bit. Anyway, big thank you to everybody who joined live today on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We have to get into the Phillies. We have to get into the Eagles. Villanova, apparently. Also, there's something going on over in Rome. I don't know. Is the Pope pulling some strings? We will certainly find out there as well. I don't even know where I want to start today. Okay, because there are some things that I got to get off my chest. I think we're going to start with the Eagles really quickly, and then we're going to spend a good amount of time on the Phillies today. So we're going to get there. And I got a thing here from Amadeo saying that we've got echo. If this whole thing falls apart today, we're in deep doo-doo. All right, hold on. I'm going to go out to, maybe it's just an Amadeo thing. You guys can let me know in the comments. I don't know. Nothing's different. I did have an issue with the studio as I went to go set it up. None of my stuff was showing up like it usually does, which is, deeply concerning. All right, let me see. I'm getting all kinds of weird tech issues in the back end. This is not good. Not good. Not good. All right, anyway, we'll come back to it. We'll see how things are looking in a little bit. Now, I want to go out. We'll touch on the Eagles here for a very brief moment because the Eagles are the one that I think were, the most concern was out there around Landon Dickerson and around Lane Johnson. Will they be back? Won't they be back? What's it going to look like? What's it going to sound like? Are the Eagles effectively screwed? Because remember, if Landon Dickerson retires early, the Eagles are in bad shape. If Lane Johnson also retires early, they are double screwed. And this team has never been particularly good when Lane Johnson is out of the lineup. Well, we got a little bit of good news, sort of. We got a little bit of decent news coming out of Eagles camp, right? One was from a national media pundit, and then one was from somebody who used to play for the team. So we're going to really quickly touch on this because I think it's largely good news. We're going to first go out to one of the all-time Eagles greats from the backfield, LaShawn McCoy. because LaShawn McCoy came out and he pretty thoroughly rejected the notion that Lane Johnson's going to retire. We're going to go out here to the comment from young LaShawn Shady McCoy. Here's Shady on Here's Shady on Lane Johnson. Here's the quote. Says, Lane Johnson ain't going nowhere. I talked to Lane. He ain't going nowhere. I mean, that's a first person account, right? I mean, technically it kind of is, right? He says he spoke to Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson said he isn't going anywhere. Good. Excellent. Love to see it. Lane Johnson, thanks for coming back. That's what it's all about. It's like the hokey pokey. That's what it's all about. So on one hand, you have Shady saying, Lane Johnson's going nowhere. Everybody rejoice and be glad. We will rejoice. We will also be glad. Okay, that's one thing. Cool. But if you're like, hey, I don't know if I could trust Shady. I don't know how to feel about Shady. I'm not sure that Shady's telling me the truth. Well, Adam Schefter. Do we trust Adam Schefter? I would say that we trust Adam Schefter to a reasonable extent. He apparently went over on 97.5 The Fanatic today and said the following. Quote, I'd be surprised if Lane Johnson isn't back. Okay, so you got Schefter, you got LaShawn McCoy. I think we can all take the negativity that we were starting to feel, that spiraling that we were all about to do with the thought that Dickerson and Lane Johnson could both retire. Still don't know about Dickerson, who I think actually will matter long term, right? Like we do actively care that Landon Dickerson is back. But for right now, probably the most important piece on the offensive line, Lane Johnson, set to be back. Everyone just take a moment, take a deep breath, let yourselves exhale. Thank goodness we know that Lane Johnson will be back. All right, cool. So we're happy there. Everybody's great. Everything is great. Everything is awesome. So Lane Johnson's back. Cool. The Phillies are also back. I don't know how to feel about the Phillies being back. You know, like on one hand, I would like to be very positive about the Phightin Phils. I would love to be nothing more than positive about the Phillies. I would like nothing more than to believe that the Phillies are going to be worth watching this year. And yet I have a lot of hesitation because there are a few things that have been going on that are deeply concerning. I don't know. There's kind of this giant albatross out there. You know, I don't know if you remember this or not, but last year, Nick Castellanos didn't exactly have the greatest season, right? And then in the postseason, he had some big hits, but largely underwhelmed, right? Dave Dombrowski talked to the media, and there was a question that came up because I don't know if you know this or not, Nick Castellanos is still here. You know, last season, as the regular season was coming to a close, it felt very much like, oh, the Phillies are going to move on from Nick Castellanos. They're not happy. And it seemed like there was an icy relationship between Castellanos and Rob Thompson, and it seemed like it was going to be a bridge that they could not cross together. So Nick Castellanos was going to be out. And then as the postseason kind of, they went out with a whimper, right? It really felt like there was no chance that Castellanos was going to be back. And then a week or so after the season, the word was very definitively, the Phillies are actively looking to move this guy. If you will offer them even a bag of balls, they will take them. Then, partway into the offseason, it was the Phillies are not only willing to move off of Nick Castellanos, they'll eat a lot of the money. He's owed $20 million, they'll eat 15 or 14. And then as the offseason kept going, it was they'll eat $18 million. They might even eat $19 million. Just pay $1 million and you can have this guy to play subpar outfield and occasionally hit a ball into the gaps and not hit a lot of home runs and also swing at every first pitch he sees. You can have him for the low price of $1 million. And yet, pitchers and catchers are reporting, and who remains on the roster? Alec Bohm, not him. Well, he's still here too. Nick Castellanos still remains here. So Dave Dombrowski met with the media, and thankfully somebody was like, yo, Dave, I don't know if you realize this or not, but you kind of put Nick Castellanos on the curb outside of your house with a sign on it that said $1. And it doesn't appear as though anybody bid on that. Maybe you need to put Nick Castellanos on one of those, buy nothing Facebook groups. Anyway, here's Dave Dombrowski. Remember, seasoned executive Dave Dombrowski, future Hall of Fame executive Dave Dombrowski, hasn't done jack shit in a good long time here in Philadelphia, Dave Dombrowski. Here's Dave Dombrowski on why the fuck Nick Castellanos is still here.
Throughout the winter. Well, we continue to talk to clubs about that, and that's our focus prior to the start of spring training. So that's something that we'll continue to work on this week.
It's a thing that we continue to talk about. We're going to work on it this week. The fuck have you been doing the whole offseason, man? I mean, honestly, like, what? Make no mistake, okay? This is where I get frustrated. We're going to come back. We'll come back to this in a second. This is where I get so frustrated, right? If you're a first-year executive and you bungle something, I'm not going to crucify you for it. I might ask some questions, right? This is beyond bungled. And this isn't a first-year guy. I mean, I call him Timu Mr. Rogers. I mean, just take a gander into his eyes. This is Mr. Rogers if you bought him on Timu or Wish.com, right? He's not a young man. No offense to Dave Dombrowski. He's not a young guy anymore. You can't make these kinds of mistakes. What mistake did he make, Russ? He didn't like the player. He's ready to move on from him. You know what mistake he made? He didn't play the normal PR game. Last season, when things got icy with Rob Thompson, you still come out, you lie publicly. Do the thing that executives in every sport do. Lie. We still believe that, we'll do the Dave Dombrowski voice. We still believe that Nick Castellanos is a real important part of our core in the future. We do. We think he's a big piece of what we're doing right now. We think that next season he will also be a big piece of he's a piece that we simply cannot move on from. He's a guy that we really do believe in long term with our team. And instead, last month or so of last season, it was the Phillies cannot wait to move off this contract to anyone with a pulse who will take him. And then through the postseason and into the offseason, right? When, as I said earlier, when they just kept saying, hey, we'll eat $12 million, we'll eat $14, we'll eat $18, we'll maybe even eat $19 million. Just pay $1 million. Get this guy off the team. Just take him. Have him, please. This organization couldn't figure out a way to not bungle that messaging. And now teams are like, why on God's green earth would we trade you why would we trade you any assets to get Nick Castellanos, even if it's going to cost us $1 million? You know what we could do? We just wait for him to get released by your team, and then we'll just sign him and not have to give you anything for him. Am I insane? Am I nuts? I might be. It's entirely possible. But if you're the Phillies, how do you let an asset that you were once willing to pay $20 million a year for, who while he has not performed exceptionally well in Philadelphia, he's still not a dog shit player. How do you mess this up so much that no team will trade you a single asset if you're eating 19 of the $20 million? What are we doing? And so now it is a distraction because pitchers and catchers are reporting. Spring training is around the corner. And a guy that you've pretty much actively said now for months will not be part of this team is still part of the team. All right, back to Dave Dombrowski because he apparently had more to say. Oh, we're going to work on it this week. Yeah, we are. We're looking forward to working on it.
Is that something that you hope to have resolved this week?
Hopefully, yes.
Hey, Dave, just to clarify, if Nick is not traded or released by the time position players are scheduled to report, will he be in camp?
Well,
by the way, kudos on that question because that's the next level of this. Are you going to have him report to camp? He's clearly not happy here. The manager clearly is not. Methinks no, but all right.
At this point, we're doing everything we can to make a move by that time period.
Okay. So, review the answers here. And I want to actually highlight that one again because you want to talk about leverage?
Well, at this point, we're doing everything we can to make a move by that time period.
We're doing everything we can to make a move before the rest of the team reports to camp. We are so desperate to move on from this guy. We're going to do everything we can to move off of him between now and when everybody gets to camp. What have you been doing the last few months, Dave? What? You couldn't figure out a way, okay. I'm going to try to unpack this really quickly. Okay. The Phillies are not an improved team over last year. Okay, we can all probably agree on that. We'll get back to that in a little bit. The Phillies have an asset that they've wanted to move off of since last year. They were unable to. They couldn't move off him during the regular season, during the trade deadline, into the early offseason, free agency, any of it. They couldn't move him. Now, I have questions. The reports out there that the Phillies could eat $19 of the $20 million he's owed. There's no team that's interested in him for $1 million. I find that hard to believe. Are the Phillies trying to get a legitimate asset? Is that why they're willing to eat 19 of the 20 million? Are they asking for a top prospect from other teams in exchange for eating 19 of the $20 million? What team on God's green earth is going to say, yeah, you know what, we'll trade you a top prospect for Nick Castellanos? Like, what? So you're theoretically willing to eat the money. A team isn't going to part with an asset. What exactly do the Phillies think they're going to get back? What am I missing? Now, I Rock Philly, Kevin at I Rock Philly, says Blue Jays need a right-handed bat. Maybe they'll go after Castellanos. That is maybe the one beautiful, I don't want to say it was like, it's not a good thing, right? Because we don't root for anybody's injuries, right? But like, Anthony Santander went down, right? And it's going to be a doozy of a time period that he's out for Toronto. And Toronto's a team that obviously has been trying to go all in after a World Series appearance. They are looking to keep things going. Anthony Santander is having left labral surgery. He's going to miss 5 to 6 months. Now, if you're the Blue Jays, does Nick Castellanos fit a need? Technically, he does. Will they be willing to pay $1 million for Nick Castellanos? Maybe. Say what you will about whether or not Nick Castellanos is a good defensive outfielder. He's not. Say what you will about whether or not he's a reliable hitter at the plate. He's not. Say what you will about whether or not he can get you some extra base hits. He can. Say what you will about him being very aggressive, swinging at every first pitch he sees. He will. If you're the Blue Jays, I don't know the prospect pool, okay? I am not actively knowledgeable about every player that the Blue Jays have in their farm system. Do they have somebody that they could plug in right away for the next 5 to 6 months as they look to get back to a World Series? I'm not so sure. And if I'm the Blue Jays, I maybe take a longer look at this as an option because while Castellanos has his own warts and has his flaws, he is a proven commodity. And it is 1 year left on that contract. It's not as if Castellanos has 2 or 3 years remaining on the deal. It's a 1 year deal. You're going to have a highly motivated player who's going to want to prove that the Phillies fucked up. He's going to try to do whatever he can to prove that he belongs in that lineup. I actually think that it maybe is the one thing that makes the most sense. And maybe this is what Dombrowski's been holding out for. I don't think it is, but maybe this is ultimately why Castellanos hasn't been moved. Maybe Dave Dombrowski was waiting for the inevitable injury that happens to every team, happens to any team in the offseason going into spring training. Sometimes guys get hurt. Maybe it was all part of a longer play. I'm not willing to give Dave Dombrowski the benefit of the doubt, but this is a perfect scenario. Ideally. Now, if they can't get anybody to trade for him, it tells me that the Phillies were not willing to eat any of the money or weren't willing to eat enough of the money. So I don't know. Whole thing is weird. Andrew Fawcett says, I'll give you some practice balls and a half a pack of Big League Chew. That would be fine. Listen, I think the Phillies would take just about anything at this point. But if they're holding out for a top pick, good luck. Good luck for them. All right, now we're going to real quick go out to the comments, and then I have to get back in. There's more Phillies stuff. Because Rob Thompson had something to say that made me want to cry. Okay. Nick Abe is here, says, I'm low-key thinking the Phillies are underrated. We'll talk about that in a second. Ford says, Russ is a prick, but he's our prick. I appreciate it. Havokin is here. I saw Chris Fried had a comment, too, on the Villanova thing, which we'll get to a little bit later on. Nick Abe says, Bryce Harper MVP season watch. Ooh. Be bold. I didn't know Gabe Kapler was still here, but that is certainly a bold take. I don't know if I would take those odds, but maybe. Okay. Let's see. We had some hockey stuff over there. No. Kevin at I Rock Philly says, Phightin Words is really the best Phillies podcast out there. We're going to get to them in a second because they dropped a new episode on Tuesday, and we have to have a conversation about a couple of the takes that were floating out there and whether or not I believe what they're saying. I'll let you know in a second. Let's see. Havokin says the Mets got better at hitting, but their starting pitching is still bad. The Mets still have flaws. There's no doubt. The Bo Bichette thing that they did was very much a panic move, so we'll see. Chris Reed says, Russ, if you would only treat the Sixers like you treat the Phillies. No, I will not. The Sixers get irrational optimism out of me. iRock Philly says, the problem with Castellanos is that he should be a DH, not an outfielder. Go back to 2022 when he got here. He was the DH, then went out to right when Harper got hurt. Well, yeah, but then the Phillies also re-signed their DH to a massive contract, so I don't know. Chris Reed says, Russ makes it sound like the Phillies have been 70 and 92 the last 5 seasons. Can I just say, the reason that I'm critical is because like the Phillies, in theory, should have been able to have more inspiring playoff runs. Listen, if the Phillies, the last 2 postseasons, had gotten to like the NLCS and took the Dodgers to 7 games or to 6 games, but most of those games were highly competitive and you lost a couple of extra innings and it felt like, man, you're 1 or 2 plays away from beating the Dodgers, that'd be one thing. They got curb stomped by the Mets 2 years ago. And then this past postseason, like, they had a couple of moments against the Dodgers, but like, did it ever really feel like they were that competitive? Did it ever really feel like they were close to being on par with the Dodgers? I would say no. And it's funny because the Dodgers said after the fact, they thought the Phillies were the toughest competition they faced. But like Toronto put, I thought, a much bigger scare into the Dodgers than the Phillies did. Or at least that's how it seemed like things played out. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Nick Abe says the Phillies are going to win 90-plus games. Just watch. Sure. Yeah, maybe. Okay, I want to get to the Rob Thompson thing. Okay. Look at this, though. This is interesting, too. I hope I'm wrong, but in a contract year, Castellanos puts up better offensive numbers than Garcia. If that's true, then Dombrowski's going to have a lot to answer for. I don't know if I'd go that far. Garcia has the potential to hit for better power numbers than Castellanos does. So, like, I'm going to still give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here, and I think Garcia is a better defensive outfielder than Castellanos, which doesn't say much. I think he's going to have a good year. I don't think he's going to, like, set the world on fire. I think he'll be good. Let's see. AJ says, offering to retain that much money for maybe a draft pick is something that makes sense in a league with a salary cap. That's true. That's why I actively want, I think that for Castellanos, who again is a flawed player, there has to be a team that would be willing to pay $1 million for him if the Phillies are going to eat 19. That's why I think that they must still have an ask that's just significantly too high. That's my guess, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't think I am, but maybe. I'll tell you who is wrong. Okay? There's one person right now who's unbelievably wrong, unfathomably wrong, and it's Rob Thompson. I got to tell you, I have a lot of respect for the guy who looks like Lyndon B. Johnson. I do. But Rob Thompson said some shit this week that makes no sense whatsoever. Like, unless you have a lobotomy, I can't make heads or tails of what Rob Thompson talked about this week. He has been on the record a few times saying something to the effect of, we're not running it back, and taking exception to the notion that the Phillies are running it back. So I want you to just hear from the Phillies manager, because again, the Phillies manager seems to believe that Garcia replacing Bader or Garcia replacing Castellanos, who's still here, and then Justin Crawford replacing Harrison Bader and letting Ranger Suarez go. They're of the belief that that's enough change that it's not running it back. Here's Rob Thompson. Let's give Rob Thompson give him the opportunity to talk.
I'm not a real big fan of the saying or the term, but because I think we can't forget that we won 96 games last year, and we got a really good club, and we're going to turn over probably 20 to 25% of our roster.
Wow.
And that's not including having Duran for the entire year. But I like the improvements we've made to our bullpen. We got a new right fielder. We're going to inject hopefully some youth into our team with the Crawfords of the world and the Painters of the world. Otto Kemp
Kemp was here.
Miller's not far away.
Miller's new.
So,
Probably won't be here.
I'm really excited about it. I'm more excited about it this year than I was last year because I think we're better this year on this day this year than we were on the same day a year ago.
Okay. Woo! Woo! We can re-rack that. Oh, man. Okay. Rob Thompson, you get a Golden Globe. You do. I don't know if you deserve an Emmy or an Oscar, but you get one of those too. Holy shit. Woo! Okay. So he doesn't like saying that they're running it back because they have a new right fielder, Garcia, much like Castellanos, better defensively. Okay, fine. Justin Crawford, who they were allergic to bringing up last year. Apparently they thought was not good enough to play in the major leagues last year. Now they are somehow sold that he's going to be a center fielder. All right, good luck. Go with God. God bless. Andrew Painter replaces Ranger Suarez, who is arguably your best or second best postseason pitcher and a guy that you could rely on in all situations. He's gone. You're going to replace him with Andrew Painter, who didn't light up the minor leagues last year. And oh, by the way, they said in the first half of last year, Andrew Painter will be here. He'll be here. And then Dave Dombrowski, like late in the season after Painter didn't light up the minors, was like, I never really said that we were going to bring him up. I said that he could be here, not that he would be here. He's replacing Ranger Suarez. Zack Wheeler today is still not back. Now, they think that Wheeler's going to be back earlier this year than they initially thought after he had surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome. But, Zack Wheeler's not here. Ranger Suarez is gone. You haven't really changed much at the plate. Alec Boehm is still here. But we turned over 20 to 25% of our roster. I'm sorry, buddy, that's running it back. Because the ancillary pieces really don't matter. They did upgrade the bullpen. And yes, with Duran here, the bullpen is better than it was this time last year. I will 100% give that out. Okay, I will give that one. You have it. The bullpen is definitely better right now, if for no other reason than Duran is here. Cool. But just because you swap out a few ancillary pieces, that doesn't mean that you're not running it back. Bryce Harper's still here. Kyle Schwarber's still here. JT Realmuto's still here. Alec Boehm is still here. Bryson Stott is still here. Did I say Schwarbs? Schwarbs is here. Your infield is totally unchanged. Trey Turner's here. The entire infield remains untouched. Thompson's saying Otto Kemp is here. Otto Kemp was here last year. Otto Kemp is an okay player. Is Otto Kemp going to light the world on fire? No. Brandon Marsh is still here. Is he going to light the world on fire? No. We don't know what Justin Crawford is. We don't know how Garcia is going to perform. We know the rotation is better. It is that the rotation is worse. The rotation is objectively worse than it was a season ago. So we have this idea out there. We're not running it back. The team is better. And then he says, I'm more excited about this season because we're better than we were this time last season. Are you on crack? What do you mean you're better than you were last year? Zack Wheeler's not healthy. Ranger Suarez is gone. You're now supposedly going to rely on Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford you didn't believe in a year ago to somehow take on prominent roles. We don't even know if Justin Crawford can play center field. We don't know if Andrew Painter is going to be good this season. What? We're better this year? We're better this year? Dave Dombrowski sent Rob Thompson out to talk to the media while he sounded like he was on crack. Okay. I don't know what we're doing. Okay. Don't gaslight this city. Don't gaslight the fans of this team who has stuck with this team through thick and thin. Oh, we won 96 games last year. That's great. You ain't winning 96 games this year. You are not winning 96 games with this team. I will take the under. Respectfully, Your Honor, I will take the under on 96 wins for this team. I'm not sure that this team gets more than 90. There's a non-zero chance they might not even get 90. I cannot say any more definitively or declaratively that letting Ranger Suarez leave was a disastrous decision. If Wheeler is anything less than ace level, this Phillies team ain't winning more than 90 games. Unless Andrew Painter somehow becomes whatever they thought he was going to be as an ace. Like, unless he takes a significant step and becomes like the bona fide number 2 on this in this rotation, like I don't see it. Could he be like a 500 pitcher? Maybe. Could be a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe. Remains to be seen. He's got good stuff. I don't want to sound like I don't think Andrew Painter's going to be a good pitcher. He will be. I think he'll be a good pitcher. They seem to believe he has incredibly high-level upside, ace upside. I hope that he does. I'm not rooting against the success of the team. I'm merely pointing out that it seems like their belief in what they are this year is far more inflated than it should be. Which leads me to my friends over at Phightin Words, who are part of Joy Media. You can find their show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, Phightin Words with a PH. And I got to tell you, these guys, Big Bet Bob, Bob Wankel, Anthony Sanfilippo, they dove into it on Tuesday's episode, just kind of wondering aloud whether or not the Phillies could be a better team this year than they were last year. And so I want to get to a couple of things that the guys had to say. And we're going to kind of flip through this as quickly as we can. But I wanted to get to the prediction, right? And to some of the questioning aloud that Anthony and Bob did around this Phillies team. And again, you should go subscribe to their show because it's, I'd argue, the best Phillies podcast out there. But then again, I also tend to believe that every show that's part of Joy Media is, the best show that it can be. But anyway, we're going to go over to Bob and Ant. See what they have to say about this Phillies team and if people should believe.
I think it's worth pointing out, Bob, that we are now beginning our 9th season of this show. It was a different name previously, but 9 years we're beginning now. It's unbelievable how long we've been doing this, right? And I want to say that this is of the 9 years, this is the most uncertain I've felt about how to feel about the team going into the year. Like I have felt pretty sure of what the team is going to be each of the previous 8 seasons. They may not have lived up to the final expectation of it a couple times, but we knew that the team was going to be like legit.
We've been doing this so long that our first game that we had to react to was the Hobie Milner game down in Atlanta when Gabe yanked Aaron Nola after like 72 pitches on opening day.
68, let's be exact. 68 pitches it was.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, he's nasty, brother. That's how long we've been doing this.
Yes, exactly.
What Ford said here is also accurate. And saying he's uncertain is the equivalent of non-stands for the team saying they aren't as good. Okay, we'll go back to this.
Exactly. But I really don't know. In my head, as I sit there and look at baseball, and look at the teams and look at the competition, I do still believe this is the best team in the Eastern Division. I think it's a much tighter division. I think the Braves are gonna be back. I think the Mets are improved. I still think the Phillies are the best team, but I can just as easily see them finishing 3rd in this division.
What's interesting about this clip and interesting about that note that Anthony had is that I said to him at a Flyers game about 2 weeks ago, I said, there is no way that this Phillies team is as good or better than last year's. And I got the typical Sanfilippo gets offended when I push back on one of his takes. You have no idea what you're talking about. This team is definitely better. Oh, this team's probably better than it was last year. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't even watch the games. And now, publicly, he says, well, I think they're the best team in the East, but they could be 3rd. Well, that's a hedge. That's a big hedge. All right, we're going to go back out to Phightin Words for one other little bit of what the Phillies fans should feel. All right, here we go. Out to Bob.
What's interesting is that you don't know what they're going to be this year, and you don't know how the chips are going to fall. But in addition to that, even if you're able to reconcile the fact that, hey, I think this team's pretty good. I think it's a 90 to 92 3-win team.
That's optimistic.
It's that within that expectation, which is kind of an optimistic or positive outlook, you have to then sort through the the makeup of the roster and how you feel about what is going to be this 90 to 93 win team. Like,
Correct.
like you can sit here and be like, I think they're going to win the East, which you would think would get you fired up about it. But I think a lot of people are like, well, I expect them to win the NL East, and I also expect them to go out with a whimper 10 days later. You know, like
that is the problem that the Phillies find themselves in right now, is that people will come out to the ballpark, and there's a chance that the Phillies go on a little bit of a run. But we all kind of know that the thing that's doomed the Phillies for 2 postseasons in a row is probably going to be the thing that dooms them again. All right, back to Bob.
And that to me is the added wrinkle. Like we heard Rob Thompson yesterday, I know you wanted to get to this, say that he's more excited about the team this year than he was a year ago. And I have a hard time with that. Like, how? Like, to me, it's like if you want to get like crazy and really like put the tinfoil hat on, I know it's going to be one of the topics today, but like the only way that I see that this Phillies team is better right now in their minds is addition through subtraction and getting rid of Nick Castellanos. Like that's really the only place that it's any different and potentially better.
The only thing that I push back on there is like, I think that the bullpen has improved versus opening day last year, or the start of spring training last year, if for no other reason than you have Juan Duran. That's it. But Bob's right. I mean, and the funny thing is too, we heard Rob Thompson in the clip before. I mean, like Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski are both kind of like, yeah, we're going to get rid of this motherfucker Nick Castellanos. Like he's going to be gone. Don't worry guys, he'll be gone. Camp is quickly approaching. Pitchers and catchers are reporting. And Castellanos is still here. And then you have the president of the team and the manager of the team kind of going, oh yeah, that guy, he'll be gone. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Him, that guy that we like haven't exactly done a good job messaging around and nobody wants. Like, he's gonna be gone. He's gonna be gone. Don't worry about it. It's fine. He won't be here. Dave, what happens if he's still here when the team reports? Is he gonna report? Oh, we'll think we'll have we're hoping to have a move made by then. You've been hoping for months, and he's still here. Okay. Fun. Lovely. Okay, so those are the baseball guys. Those are the guys who actively will watch all 162 games. I will check in for almost all of the 162. I will not sit and watch all 9 innings of all 162 this year. This is the beauty of, having 4 kids is like, there's no way I'm getting all 4 kids to sit down and watch 9 innings of 162 games. It won't happen. But when the baseball guys who live and breathe baseball are saying, yeah, this team isn't as good as last year, when Anthony Sanfilippo, of all people, is kind of like, haven't really gotten particularly better. That should tell you something. When I stand here and I yell about it into a microphone, you could think that it's being hyperbolic. No, like I'm not going to tell you the Phillies are going to be like an 80-win team or a 75-win team. But I have a lot of questions. And I think that there are so many ifs around this team. If Andrew Painter can replace Ranger Suarez, if Zack Wheeler comes back as good or better than he was before, if Justin Crawford can be an actual center fielder, if Justin Crawford can hit the ball with consistency out of the infield, if Garcia is able to have a massive bounce back and far outperform Nick Castellanos, if Alec Boehm can be an actual useful hitter in this lineup, if they can figure out what they're doing in left field. Now, there are so many ifs that have to hit in order for this team to not just win the NL East, but give fans the hope that they can compete in the playoffs. And until they do that, I don't know how you can look at this team and say, oh yeah, they can do 96 again. They could win 92, 93. I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I do. I truly hope I'm wrong. But I don't see it. I would love to be wrong. I would love for this Phillies team to be led in large part by Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford having incredible rookie seasons and just far outperforming. And you go, wow, that's the next wave of youth for this team. And those are the guys you're going to build around for a decade. I would love that. But there are so many question marks. So many. All right, now, I have a question mark that has hit me, though, right? Are the Phillies, involved in some kind of, weird voodoo stuff? Because, if you remember, I know it's not voodoo, right? It's medicine, right? It's medical. It's like FDA approved medicine or something adjacent to it, I guess. Bryce Harper had the thing earlier this offseason where like he went for the blood transfusion thing, like where they pull a certain percentage of the blood out of your body and they like purify it or something, and then they re-inject it into your body. And that sounds cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But people seem to swear by it. Okay. Well, we found out that Zack Wheeler, he had that surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome. Remember, he had the clot issue, and so they said he was going to have surgery. Well, apparently, Zack Wheeler admitted that the surgery that he had led to them removing a rib, and he apparently kept the rib in his closet. So Zack Wheeler still has whatever rib got removed from his surgery. He's just got it hanging out in a closet somewhere. Now, I have lots of questions. What are you doing with the rib? Why is the rib there? How does your family feel about the rib? Do you bring it out at parties? Is it like a conversation piece? Was it out on Halloween? Did you put it in a jar and put the jar on the coffee table? What are you doing with the rib? Ford calls the McRib. Like Chris Reed says, my granddad kept his gallbladder stones. Why would you? But why? Why are you keeping your rib in the closet? I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, this could be like, Adam having a rib removed, and then God created Eve. And what if Zack Wheeler has a rib removed, and then God or someone else genetically replicates Zack Wheeler and makes Zack Wheeler 2.0? I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe. Is that what we hold on hope for? He removes a rib. Are they going to bioengineer somebody and turn them into what's a Z name? Xena? Can we say Xena? We can have a woman ace pitcher for the Phillies. Xena Wheeler is going. Wait, Xena had an X. Wasn't it with an X? Zelda Wheeler? What are we doing? Zack Wheeler has a rib removed and then it's just floating. I'm just is it a Phillies branded jar? How big is the rib? It can't be like a pickle jar. Is it like a plastic tub that they used to put like animal crackers in? Is there formaldehyde? Did they go to Home Goods and pick up one of the giant mason jars that has the resealable thing and you pull on the little Johnsky to seal the rubber seal down? What kind of jar did you put it in? Or is it not in a jar? Does he just have it sitting in a container with dry ice for effect? He just opens up a styrofoam igloo cooler and it's just smoke coming out because he's got his rib on dry ice. Holy shit. What are we doing? Okay. Where is the rib? Or is Zack Wheeler lying? Is Zack Wheeler ribbing all of us? Huh? Is Zack Wheeler messing with us, ribbing us because we would take this and run with it? Maybe that's the play. Oh, Zack Wheeler, you dog, you. You dog. Okay. That's Zack Wheeler. Now I'm going to end on I got two little positives that we'll get to really quickly. So among the future guys and among the prospects and everything that the Phillies have, there is one interesting note. John Clark put this out today. Apparently, the Phillies are really trying to lean into the idea of having the vets around the younger guys coming into camp. And notably, they've put Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter, and Aiden Miller near some key vets for mentorship. Apparently, Aiden Miller, who this team thinks incredibly highly of, which is a good thing, they've apparently put his locker next to Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, and Kyle Schwarber. So you've got three of the key vets, two of whom signed extensions this offseason, and then your most important player in Bryce Harper. They have Aiden Miller surrounded by those guys. You can actually see it here. Let's zoom in on the image here. Bryce Harper's locker is right here. Aiden Miller's is here. JT Realmuto's is here. There's another one here. This is where the Schwarber locker is. But still, you've got Aiden Miller, who's a very key part of this team for the next decade. The Phillies certainly hope. Will he be on the opening day roster? It would seem unlikely unless maybe there's a trade that is there to be made for Alec Boehm. And then maybe the Phillies move one of the other infielders to third base and it frees up a spot for Aiden Miller. Maybe that'll happen. I have no idea. But very interesting. All right. So we got that. Here's the thing that we're going to end on today. The Pope may have had something to do with this. We don't know for sure. But Villanova and Notre Dame's men's and women's basketball are going to apparently start their seasons in Rome. Yes, you heard that right. They're going to start in Rome. Now, this has been announced by a whole bunch of people, but Villanova and Notre Dame are set to start their college basketball seasons next year in Rome for a doubleheader on Sunday, November 1st. So Villanova and Notre Dame are going to play against each other. Obviously, the Pope has ties to the Philadelphia area, is a Villanova alum, and then Notre Dame, of course. Notre Dame, you gotta have those fighting Irish. They're in the mix as well. Now, did Pope Leo set this up? Did Pope Leo meet with college basketball and say, hey, you know, it'd be a really great idea. Instead of me having to come to the States to see this game, why don't you guys just bring them over here? Now, there's going to be a ton of content. Let's be honest here. There's going to be a lot of content coming out from the Villanova and Notre Dame teams, you know, touring the Vatican, I'm sure, touring Rome. It'll be a lot of fun. There's going to be a ton of stuff around it. I think it's interesting that they got this like special clearance from NCAA to go over and take college basketball to Italy. I think it's a cool thing. It's a really great opportunity. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. So there's a little bit of positivity on the way out. We started with a little bit of positivity. Lane Johnson coming back next season, not retiring, according to Shady and to Adam Schefter. We continued on with a little bit of, you know, Phillies talk. Listen, if you're a big baseball fan, the Phillies being back is exciting. I'm very skeptical of the way that they've built this team, but fine. And now we have a little bit of positivity about Villanova taking on Notre Dame in Rome. Now, I will talk to many of you in about 2 hours here. I'll talk to many of you at 6 o'clock over on the Snow the Goalie channels and WBCB. You can call in on the radio as well as Ant and Bundy and I talk about Olympic hockey. Will we talk about the Flyers? Maybe some key takeaways from the season thus far and which guys we're going to have an eye on. Obviously, the Flyers have 4 guys playing in the Olympics. They've got Dan Vladar playing for Czechia. You have Rasmus Ristolainen playing for Finland. You have Travis Sanheim playing for Canada. Rodrigo Abels would have been the 4th one. But they have multiple guys over playing in the Olympics. I have no idea what to make of any of them, but hopefully we will see many of you tonight in Bordentown, Chickies and Pete's, 6 o'clock start. We'll talk some puck. And then, of course, I'll talk to all of you, wonderful people, Friday here on the Russ Joy Show. Do me a favor if you haven't done so already. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. We're getting close to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. You can find this show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find short-form content from this show on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all those wonderful places. I would also encourage you to go subscribe to Phightin Words with a PH, Phightin Words. You can find that on the Joy Media YouTube account. You can also find it on the Phightin Words YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts there. So until Friday, this has been the Russ Joy Show, and I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart, and it's also in the name of the show. Talk to each and every one of you Friday here on the Russ Joy Show. Bye now.